I think I had enough business acumen. I know I had enough business acumen.
Jack Nicholson is not just an actor. He is a living legend, a man whose name carries weight in every corner of Hollywood. For over 6 decades, Nicholson's career has been marked by unforgettable performances, iconic films, and a presence that few could match. From One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest of The Shining, his characters have left indelible marks on audiences around the world. But behind the fame, awards, and the glitz of Hollywood premieres, there lies another side in Nicholson, a side that is rarely discussed. Jack Nicholson was not a man who offered second chances freely. He did not easily forgive mistakes or tolerate disingenuous behavior. His instinct, honed over decades, told him who could be trusted and who could not. And when he disliked an actor, it was permanent, quiet, and absolute. He didn't raise his voice. He didn't argue. He simply withdrew, and in Hollywood, that was as good as being blacklisted. Over the years, Nicholson developed a reputation for being selective with the people he allowed close to him on set. He trusted talent, loyalty, and authenticity more than charm, fame, or cleverness. Some actors earned his respect and were treated as collaborators, even friends, while others never got the chance to work alongside him again. In this world of high stakes and egos, Nicholson's instincts were his shield, his way of maintaining control, and his method of navigating an unpredictable industry. Over time, it became clear that certain actors, despite their fame or popularity, did not align with Jack's principles. Some were considered arrogant. Others were precise in a way that clashed with his more instinctive approach to acting. And some simply failed to demonstrate the intangible quality he valued most: presence. This article explores 5 actors whom Jack Nicholson reportedly disliked the most. It delves into the reasons behind his selective approach, the specific incidents that created tension, and the philosophy that guided one of Hollywood's greatest legends. These actors were talented, yes, but according to Nicholson, they lacked the spark, the instinct, or the depth required to meet his standards on set. What emerges is not a story of petty grudges or trivial disagreements. Instead, it is a study of a man who had clear boundaries, high standards, and a commitment to the craft of acting that few could match. It is about understanding why Jack Nicholson, at the height of his career, could look past charm and fame and focus solely on what mattered most: authentic talent and instinctive performance. Ryan O'Neal is often remembered as a Hollywood heartthrob, a leading man whose good looks and charm propelled him into the limelight during the 1970s. Movies like Love Story and Barry Lyndon made him a household name, and his presence on magazine covers and talk shows was nearly constant. However, for Jack Nicholson, O'Neal represented everything he did not respect in an actor. While O'Neal's charm was undeniable, Nicholson felt that his acting lacked weight and substance. The tension between them was never publicly explosive, but it simmered quietly in the background, shaping how Nicholson viewed collaboration and artistry. Nicholson's approach to acting was instinctive. He believed that genuine emotion could not be rehearsed or polished to perfection. It had to be lived, experienced, and expressed organically. O'Neal's style, by contrast, appeared calculated and controlled. He brought a studio-polished energy to the set, one that Nicholson felt undermined the rawness required to elevate a performance. They moved in the same circles, attended the same premieres, and sometimes competed for attention and roles. Yet Nicholson never offered O'Neal his full trust or respect. Anecdotes from producers and crew members indicate that Nicholson was quietly discerning, watching O'Neal's approach to scripts, preparation, and improvisation with a critical eye. He reportedly refused to share scenes or opportunities where he felt O'Neal might overshadow authenticity with charisma. In one instance, a tense military drama was set to feature both actors in leading roles. Nicholson reportedly did not comment on the casting decision, yet the project was ultimately shelved. To insiders, Nicholson's behavior was not about personal dislike. It was about principle. He believed in the integrity of the craft and felt that O'Neal's performances, though polished and appealing to the public, did not meet the standard Nicholson expected of himself or his collaborators. Over the years, this cautious distance remained. Even as O'Neal experienced success and popularity, Nicholson maintained a quiet form of judgment, never openly criticizing, yet never engaging or collaborating. In his view, talent without instinct and depth was not enough. By this measure, O'Neal, despite his charm and public acclaim, fell short. Nicholson's selective nature was not a whim. It was a philosophy grounded in decades of experience, observation, and commitment to acting as a serious craft. In Hollywood, where personal branding and media attention often overshadow substance, Nicholson's instincts provided a filter for authenticity, and O'Neill, for all his appeal, did not pass a test. Shelley Duvall is forever associated with The Shining, Stanley Kubrick's masterpiece of psychological horror. She played Wendy Torrance, a character that required emotional fragility and nuanced performance. Yet behind the camera, the working relationship between Duvall and Nicholson was reportedly strained. Nicholson, who valued rhythm, presence, and stability on set, found the dynamic challenging. Kubrick was notorious for pushing actors to their limits, often demanding dozens of takes and enforcing extreme emotional tension. While Duvall delivered a memorable performance on screen, Nicholson sensed unpredictability and instability in her approach. He was not cruel or vindictive. He was discerning. According to accounts from assistant directors and crew members, Nicholson maintained a deliberate distance from Duvall during filming. He observed, rather than intervened, and remained focused on his instinctive approach to performance. In one instance, he reportedly commented after a scene, "I don't know if this is a performance or a breakdown," highlighting his careful judgment of her methods. Nicholson's philosophy on acting prioritized authenticity and trust between performers. For him, a scene partner needed to maintain composure while channeling the character's emotions naturally. When he felt uncertainty or instability, he withdrew, not as a form of punishment, but as a measure of professional caution. Over the years, Nicholson and Duvall never collaborated again. Their names remain linked by the legacy of classic film, but the tension that existed behind the scenes ensured that their professional paths diverged. Duvall's career continued, but Nicholson's selective instinct determined that he would not invite her energy into future projects. This incident underscores a key aspect of Nicholson's personality: his talent for observing subtle cues and his unwillingness to compromise on principles of craft and consistency. For him, acting was like jazz, improvised, instinctual, and alive. Those who played out of rhythm, regardless of intention or skill, were quietly set aside. Tom Cruise is widely celebrated for his meticulous preparation, unwavering focus, and dedication to achieving perfection in every role. By the early 1990s, he had become one of Hollywood's most bankable stars, known for delivering high-energy performances and precision-driven work. Yet for Jack Nicholson, whose approach to acting relied on instinct, unpredictability, and emotional fluidity, Cruise's calculated style presented a challenge. Their collaboration on A Few Good Men in 1992 was supposed to unite two generations of acting talent: Nicholson, the seasoned veteran with decades of experience, and Cruise, the rising superstar with a reputation for discipline and precision. On paper, the combination seemed ideal, promising a clash of charisma and skill that would elevate the courtroom drama. But behind the scenes, the dynamic was more complex. Nicholson valued performers who could respond to a moment, who could bring life to a scene without relying solely on rehearsed lines or planned gestures. Cruise, by contrast, approached his craft with meticulous preparation, running lines, adjusting movements, and shaping his performance with technical precision. This difference in methodology created a subtle tension. It was not a personal dislike. Nicholson reportedly admired Cruise's commitment, yet he struggled to connect with the controlled, almost mechanical energy Cruise brought to the set. Crew members and producers recall Nicholson observing Cruise's rehearsals with a critical eye, noting that while the actor was technically perfect, he lacked what Nicholson called gravity, an innate weight and presence that could elevate a scene beyond the script. Nicholson's philosophy was clear: acting is as much about emotion and spontaneity as it is about technique. When a scene lacks in perfection, surprise, or the natural flow of human response, it feels hollow to him, no matter how polished. This approach meant that Nicholson, even in shared iconic scenes, maintained a distance from Cruise, watching and analyzing rather than collaborating on an instinctive level. While the courtroom scenes remain some of modern cinema's most quoted moments, Nicholson and Cruise reportedly never built a lasting working relationship. They did not clash openly, but they never worked together again, demonstrating Nicholson's consistent method of keeping professional boundaries when instinct and energy do not align. Over time, Cruise's career soared with blockbuster films and carefully curated roles, while Nicholson remained selective about collaborations, guided by intuition and the unspoken rules of craft he followed throughout his career. In Nicholson's eyes, Cruise's meticulousness, though admirable, was incompatible with the organic, instinct-driven energy he valued in co-stars. It was less about personal animosity and more about philosophical differences that, in Nicholson's world, were enough to prevent repeated collaboration. Meryl Streep, widely regarded as one of the greatest actresses of her generation, represents a model of precision, control, and technical mastery. Her performances are studied, meticulous, and deeply immersive, earning her multiple Academy Awards and widespread critical acclaim. Yet when Streep shared the set with Jack Nicholson for the film Heartburn in 1986, the combination of their contrasting styles created a subtle but noticeable divide. Nicholson thrived on spontaneity, unpredictability, and a presence that could dominate a scene without rehearsal. Streep, by contrast, approached every line, glance, and reaction with careful consideration, often reviewing playback and fine-tuning her approach to ensure every moment was calculated to achieve maximum effect. The result was not dramatic conflict, but a quiet mismatch, a collision of two acting philosophies that rarely converged. Crew members noted that while the scenes were professionally executed, there was a tension, a lack of harmony between the two actors' methods. Nicholson, who preferred co-stars who could react instinctively to the evolving energy of the scene, found Streep's control restrictive. He respected her talent, but struggled to merge his impulsive style with her measured approach. Nicholson reportedly summarized his philosophy simply, "I arrive at emotion. I don't rehearse it." This approach underlined his need for scene partners who could operate on instinct, improvisation, and in-the-moment responsiveness. In contrast, Streep's preparation and precision, though extraordinary in execution, made it difficult for Nicholson to fully engage with her energy on set. Their professional interaction was marked by mutual respect, but minimal collaboration beyond what was necessary for the film. Nicholson never publicly criticized Streep, but he also refrained from offering praise or further collaboration, a pattern consistent with his selective approach to co-stars. The experience highlighted a recurring theme in Nicholson's career. The compatibility of working styles often mattered more than fame, talent, or critical acclaim. Even an actress of Streep's legendary status could not overcome the subtle, instinct-driven judgment that guided Nicholson's collaborations. In interviews years later, both actors spoke diplomatically about the experience, emphasizing professionalism rather than personal dislike. Yet the absence of future projects together spoke volumes. Nicholson's philosophy was clear. If a co-star's style did not resonate with his instinctive approach to acting, it was not a question of ego, but of alignment. This nuanced dynamic underscores why Nicholson's collaborations were so selective and why certain actors, despite talent and acclaim, never received his full professional trust. Leonardo DiCaprio, emerging as one of Hollywood's brightest stars in the 1990s and early 2000s, represents a new generation of methodical, disciplined performers. When he worked with Jack Nicholson on Martin Scorsese's The Departed in 2006, the collaboration seemed like a generational passing of the torch, a legendary veteran sharing the screen with a rising icon. However, behind the scenes, the partnership revealed underlying tensions rooted in differences of instinct, energy, and philosophy. Nicholson, whose career was built on spontaneity and emotional instinct, found DiCaprio's intense focus and disciplined approach somewhat unsettling. DiCaprio stayed in character at all times, avoided casual conversation, and maintained a high level of self-awareness, all in service of delivering a technically flawless performance. While this approach served the film well on camera, Nicholson reportedly struggled with the lack of organic, unpredictable energy that he valued in scene partners. Crew members recall instances where Nicholson improvised off-script to provoke reactions or test authenticity, including moments of intensity designed to elicit a response. DiCaprio responded professionally, maintaining composure, but Nicholson perceived this as stiffness rather than engagement. Unlike with some other actors, Nicholson did not harbor personal dislike. His unease was philosophical, rooted in different approaches to performance. Nicholson's instinct-driven method required co-stars who could respond fluidly to his energy, adapt to improvisation, and share the unpredictability of live emotional expression. DiCaprio, though technically brilliant and disciplined, adhered to a careful, calculated approach that clashed subtly with Nicholson's improvisational style. Following the film, both actors maintained professional respect, but no further collaborations occurred. Nicholson's silence and lack of personal engagement with DiCaprio reinforce this pattern. Talent alone did not guarantee compatibility. For Nicholson, instinct, responsiveness, and emotional fluidity were essential criteria for collaboration, and without them, even highly acclaimed actors could fall outside a professional circle. The dynamic between Nicholson and DiCaprio illustrates how a master actor selective approach is less about personal dislike and more about alignment of artistic energy and instinct, a hallmark of Nicholson's career and one of the reasons his collaborations remain legendary in Hollywood history. Across decades of filmmaking, Jack Nicholson cultivated a reputation for instinctive judgment, selectivity, and uncompromising dedication to craft. The five actors discussed, Ryan O'Neal, Shelley Duvall, Tom Cruise, Meryl Streep, and Leonardo DiCaprio, each represent a unique combination of talent, fame, and approach to acting that, for various reasons, did not resonate with Nicholson's philosophy. His dislike was rarely personal. It was rooted in principles, intuition, and the demand for authenticity on set. Nicholson thrived on instinct, improvisation, and organic energy. He valued co-stars who could respond to the moment, feed off the scene, and match the emotional rhythm he established. When these qualities were absent, he withdrew, not with anger, but with quiet finality. This selective approach ensured that Nicholson's collaborations were memorable, intense, and artistically significant. He did not chase popularity, compromise on craft, or settle for superficial charm. His career, defined by legendary performances and iconic roles, demonstrates that respect, trust, and instinct were paramount. While some actors failed to earn Nicholson's professional confidence, others thrived under his energy and guidance. Understanding this dynamic provides insight into how a true master of the craft navigates collaboration, intuition, and performance. In the end, Jack Nicholson's choices reveal more about his principles and dedication to acting than any personal animosity. His legacy is one of brilliance, discipline, and an unwavering commitment to instinctive artistry, a standard that, for some actors, was simply too high to meet. His story reminds us that in the world of cinema, talent alone is not enough. Alignment of philosophy, instinct, and energy is what truly defines legendary collaboration. Jack Nicholson is a legend of Hollywood, a man whose name alone evokes charisma, intensity, and decades of unforgettable performances. But behind the fame and accolades lies a side of Nicholson few ever saw, a quietly ruthless instinct for judging talent and character on set. For 60 years, he relied on intuition rather than rehearsals, silence rather than charm, and presence rather than accolades. And when someone failed to meet his standard, he didn't lash out or create drama. He withdrew, sometimes permanently, from working with them again. Ryan O'Neal, once the heartthrob of the 1970s with his glossy charm and press coverage from Love Story, represented everything Nicholson found shallow in Hollywood. Charisma without depth, luck without instinct. Nicholson reportedly observed O'Neal's energy on set and, while never publicly criticizing him, quietly deemed him unfit for collaboration, explaining later in interviews that some actors leave a mark, some leave a stain, and once a decision was made, there was no turning back. Shelley Duvall, who played Wendy in The Shining, was another case entirely different yet just as instructive. While she delivered an unforgettable performance on screen, the combination of Kubrick's punishing direction and Duvall's unpredictable energy unsettled Nicholson, who thrived on rhythm, presence, and emotional fluidity, and he maintained professional distance, never revisiting collaboration despite the film's iconic legacy. Tom Cruise, a rising star known for meticulous preparation, focus, and technical precision, clashed with Nicholson's instinct-driven style on A Few Good Men. While their courtroom scenes became legendary, behind the camera the two operated on entirely different wavelengths. Cruise rehearsed, calculated, and perfected every move, while Nicholson relied on spontaneity, improvisation, and emotional intuition. Nicholson reportedly commented that you cannot choreograph soul, and though there was no overt conflict, they never worked together again, proving that talent alone was not enough for Nicholson. Instinct and presence mattered more. Similarly, Meryl Streep, whose precision and mastery are legendary, met a quiet divide with Nicholson on Heartburn. While her meticulous, controlled method earned her award and praise, it conflicted with Nicholson's improvisational chaos. Crew members recall a subtle tension on set, a mismatch of energies where neither actor adapted to the other, and while professionalism was maintained, the two never collaborated again. Finally, Leonardo DiCaprio, the rising star in The Departed, faced a similar challenge decades later. DiCaprio's intense focus, self-awareness, and disciplined approach created a subtle unease for Nicholson, whose method depended on unpredictability, instinct, and in-the-moment energy. Although there was no personal animosity and the on-screen chemistry was electric, Nicholson quietly decided that the philosophies did not align and never circled back. Across all 5 cases, Nicholson's pattern is clear. He didn't blacklist for ego, fame, or public image. He did it based on instinct, rhythm, and alignment with philosophy of acting. Whether it was O'Neill's charm without weight, Duvall's instability, Cruise's precision, Streep's meticulous control, or DiCaprio's disciplined intensity, the common thread was a misalignment of energy, a failure to meet the intangible, instinctive standard Nicholson required in co-stars. In the end, his approach ensured that collaborations remained legendary, performances remained electrifying, and his legacy was defined not only by his unparalleled talent, but also by a silent, exacting code of instinct and artistic integrity, proving that in Hollywood, fame and skill can get you far, but only alignment of presence, rhythm, and intuition can earn a place in Jack Nicholson's world. Jack Nicholson, at 88, is Hollywood royalty, a man whose every glance, every smile, every cigarette, lit pause on set carries decades of instinct, presence, and authority, but few know that behind the legendary performances of One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, The Shining, or The Departed, Nicholson had a side that was as unforgiving as it was precise, a silent judgment, a radar for energy and instinct that decided who belonged in his world and who didn't. Take Ryan O'Neal, the handsome 1970s heartthrob, everywhere in the press, coasting through glossy films like Love Story. To the world, he was charm and fame incarnate. But to Nicholson, O'Neal was a passenger, a studio face without depth, luck without instinct. On set, Nicholson watched him unflinching and reportedly muttered in private, "I don't share the frame with passengers." And just like that, the door closed quietly, permanently. Then there was Shelley Duvall on The Shining, fragile, raw, teetering on the edge of genius and breakdown under Kubrick's relentless direction. Nicholson, attuned to rhythm and emotional flow, felt the instability immediately. He didn't lash out. He withdrew, observing, calculating, letting the work speak while quietly guarding his own energy, commenting after a scene, "I don't know if this is performance or breakdown," leaving Duvall in a zone of tension that would never again allow collaboration. Tom Cruise, polished, rehearsed, precise, entered A Few Good Men with meticulous